Hey y'all, welcome back to the Insurance Lounge with me, Tanya.
And me, Kristy.
We are your local insurance agent out of Chattanooga, Tennessee, and we're here to make insurance a little less boring and way more helpful for you because our goal is to share with you what we know so that you feel more confident about how to better protect your family, your home, your business, and your future. So, with that said, what are we talking about today, Christy?
I hear this all the time, Tanya, right? I didn't have any claims. I didn't do anything wrong. I don't have any accidents, any tickets. Why does my insurance keep going up?
Absolutely. I think it's a question we get maybe on a daily basis, maybe
Probably, yeah.
almost, right? Yeah. So we understand the cost of everything is going up, right? So we're trying to save anywhere we can.
Sure.
So we want to share with you today on a couple things of, what you can do. Well, first of all, why insurance premiums going up,
Right.
right? And number two, what are some saving tips that you can do that's not going to compromise your
Right.
coverage?
Right. Yep.
And then lastly,
Don't pay for coverage you don't need.
absolutely. Oh, yeah. You do not want to be insurance poor, I can tell you that.
No.
We have lots to pay for already. So let's talk about it, Christy. I didn't file a claim last year.
Yeah.
Why is my insurance going up?
Yeah. And unfortunately, it's just how it works, you know? I mean, and I think you and I talked about this earlier. People understand this concept when it comes to their health insurance, but a lot of people don't necessarily get that really your property insurance works much the same. There's one big pot of money out there, and everybody has to get paid out of it. So while you may not have filed a claim, you didn't get a ticket, you haven't had an accident, the situation in the certainly in the area that we live in recently has not been so. Catastrophe claims have continued to rise year over year for probably the last 5 to 10 years. Feel like, just
Mhm.
I'm saying that completely anecdotally, just from living here, but it certainly feels that way, and that impacts everybody's price.
Yeah, absolutely, guys. It's important to keep in mind when we think of insurance is is it pays for everyone's claim, including our own claim, right?
Right. Yep.
When we need it. So, not just your personal claims or credit history affect your price, right? Because when it comes to insurance premium, many, many, many factors are included to come up with that price. And one of that
Right.
price is what Christy is mentioning. You might not have file a claim on your home, but all your neighbors
All your
have
neighbors
done that.
did.
Right. Or maybe, you've been a great driver for all these years. I talked to somebody today, our customer have not had a wreck in 25 years. It's great, but he's dealing with the same issues. He's not a distracted driver,
Yep.
but, the people on the road and his zip code is like that.
Yep.
Right. And then the other
Not just
thing.
his zip code. Everywhere I look, there's somebody on their phone while they're driving down the road. It blows my mind.
Absolutely. The other thing that might affect it too, guys, it's not just your neighbor's claim or accident, right? If you really think about that, if you live in an area where you drive down the road and you see all these big, shiny, beautiful billboard that says, if they hit you, we will hit them back a lot harder, right? So, all the lawsuits, all the claims. Think about all the uninsured driver that didn't have
Yep.
insurance if they hit you or your neighbor, right? All of the money that we pay into insurance, our policy is paying for all of that.
Yeah. Yeah. There's that. And, like you mentioned earlier, Tanya, just the rising cost of everything. When I think about the technology that exists in my car today,
Mhm.
if
Mhm.
you really think about it, it'll blow your mind.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like you said earlier, cruise control is not just cruise control anymore. It's almost automated driving. These cars
Mhm.
will stop themselves. There's a sensor for everything. Mine drives me nuts. When I pull in the garage, it beeps at me so hard. And I'm like, I know where the garage wall is, but I still have to pull in here every day. You know, there all that stuff is expensive. All that technology and all those sensors, yes, it makes your car safer, but it also makes it more expensive to repair if something does happen.
Yeah. And if we really think about it too, right, Christy, like if we want to go out and buy a new car today, the average, I think across the country, the average cost of a new car today is anywhere between 47 to $50,000.
Oh
And
my gosh.
that's
Yeah.
probably get you a sedan, right?
It would buy my first house.
Well, we looked at a truck recently and it's $72,000 for one truck for a regular pickup truck, right?
Yeah.
But like you
Yep.
said, all the bells and whistles and all these technology that is built into the car. And Christy, I did not know this because my car does not have it until we got the truck. All right. Cruise control is no longer just cruise control. Did you know that?
It's crazy, isn't it?
It is. My staff has a truck, or an SUV rather, and did you know that it can cruise control? It will brake if you get too close to the car in front of you.
Hmm.
It will even change lane for you, and then
Yeah.
get back into the lane that you were in.
It's kind of scary if you ask me, but
Yeah.
it is
So
what it
yeah.
is.
So the cost for things is a lot more. The cost for cars is a lot more. Same as costs for construction material have gotten
Yeah.
very expensive as well, right? And then we have the labor on top of that. And I think we talk about this. I don't know if I talked about the number, Christy, but a customer of ours got a fender bender recently. Somebody back into his bumper.
Yeah.
And
Fender
so
bender's not just a fender bender anymore, is it? Not
Mm-mm.
just a bumper.
No. Do you want to take a wild guess how much that estimate was just for a little divot in a bumper?
Oh, I can't even imagine. Just tell me or
Twelve
don't.
$1,200.
Okay.
It's no longer those days where they can just punch it
Pop
out.
it out. Yeah.
Yes. And it costs you like what, $400? It's no
Hmm.
longer that way. And unfortunately, we do see that with most every claims that we put in for auto, even though it's a fender bender, is usually way over $1,000.
Oh yeah. Yep.
Yeah. So all of that is affecting all the industry, including insurance, right? We are not
Right.
immune to the cost of things. So if you see that you haven't filed a claim and your policy still took rate anyways, that's the reason why.
Yeah. And I think, to kind of move us on too, I think so what we have to do is really think about we have to change our mindset. We have to shift here and think about the value that we're getting in our insurance policy for the price that we're paying. So it's not about the cheapest rate. That may be the best value and what some people need to do, but that's a limited audience. I think for most of us we really need to think about the company that we're doing business with, and are they going to be able to pay my claim, you know and
Yeah.
do they have the technology and the resources to adequately handle the number of claims that are going to come and all that sort of thing. But do I have enough coverage? Do I have an agent who can consult with me about the
Mhm.
coverages that I need? All of these things are important and don't necessarily link directly to that bottom line price. That the bottom line is not really what we need to be thinking about, I think is what I'm trying to say.
Mhm. Yeah, definitely. While we want to share with you like some of the like money saving tips that you can have, but we really, really want to make sure we emphasize that you never, especially if you have assets, right? You have things to protect. You have things that you work really hard for that you
Hmm.
built. You definitely don't want to be underinsured because if you were to need to use it, right? What good would it do if it saved you money now, but it's not going to take
Yeah,
care of you when you need the policy?
right.
We
Saving $15 a month right now versus losing thousands and thousands of dollars later is just not worth it.
No, not at all. So, like one quick example I can think of, right, Christy? We can look at any other coverages and different ways to cut costs. But liability is not one of those things, right?
Definitely not. Yeah.
Eh, Yep.
Yeah.
Definitely not. Another thing that is optional, and you need to make sure you have it. I think this is important because is the underinsured motorist insurance. That
hmm
is a coverage for you and your family and everybody in your cars, guys.
Right.
So please
Yeah.
don't skip that.
I think I read recently somewhere, in Tennessee, average uninsured motorist rate is like it's up above 20%. 22 to
Absolutely.
25% of drivers are uninsured, or at the very least underinsured. But I'm pretty sure what I read was that those are the actual uninsured drivers.
Right.
That does so that doesn't even start to count the people who have that bare minimum of liability insurance in their policy because all they were looking at was the bottom line price.
Absolutely. So think about that, guys. That's one out of every four cars on the road with you.
hmm
And those are only the one that got reported because there was a
That's
claim.
true. Yes, you're right. Yep. Or they got a ticket or what have you. Yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes this coverage is so inexpensive. You just need to make sure you have something, right? Or make sure you have enough if you have a lot more. Like, for example, uninsured motorists also can cover your lost wages. So what if you're really hurt
Right.
from that?
Right.
Right,
Yep.
Christy? Do you pay yourself short-term disability if you don't work, Christy?
I sure don't.
We can't afford it, right? So if
Yeah.
your company is not offering you that, or you have multiple drivers, everybody have different jobs, different benefits to their job. So isn't it inexpensive coverage that might be worth it? Because, I mean, really, one out of every four cars on the road doesn't have insurance. You don't
It's
want to
a
be the
scary
one.
proposition, isn't it? Yeah.
Yep. You don't want to be the one get stuck with a bill, guys, for an accident that you did not cause.
Right. Yep.
Let insurance handle that. Okay, so we talk a lot about underinsure, like don't underinsure yourself, right? So what are some saving tips, Christy? This is the fun part for
Yeah. Well,
everyone.
so obviously look at the discounts that are available.
Mhm.
Bundling is all, I mean, that's usually the biggest discount that any carrier is going to have. You put your home and your auto together,
Mhm.
also your boat or your motorcycle, whatever the toys are, insure those too. Putting it all with one company not only gets you the ease of administration, you have one person to talk to and one bill to pay, but also just is going to get you that bundling discount. So that's a good one. But look at all the discounts that are available, and they can be a little bit different from carrier to carrier, but generally you're going to get a discount for maybe going paperless, or at least, it's a different rate factor. They may handle it differently. Using telematics type of, services in your auto policy. Good students. I mean, there are a multitude of discounts available out there. Make sure you know what they are and make sure you're taking advantage of them.
Yeah, and if you don't know, just ask your agent.
Ask. Yep,
Yep.
absolutely.
Yeah, the other one I really like, Christy, this is usually my go-to, is looking at your deductible options.
Sure. Yep.
Right? So deductible and your premium has an adverse relationship, right?
Right.
So the lower deductible you have, the more premium you're going to pay because of the
hmm
convenience of having a low deductible. Of course, picking a higher deductible is going to help you save on your premium, but you just want to make sure that you have the emergency fund or that
Right.
financially you feel comfortable, right? Because you do have to come up with that amount if you were to
Yeah.
use your insurance. So,
I mean, I'll
uh,
tell them myself. I set $1,000 deductible on my comprehensive insurance, and the minute I did it, I got a
you
crack in my
need to use
windshield.
it.
And I thought, and it was a not repairable immediately. It was
Yeah.
all the way down the window from the top to the bottom.
Mm.
But I thought, I don't want to pay $1,000 for that.
Now,
It's right in the
sometimes,
middle. It's not in my vision. I think I'm just going to live with it for a little while. But eventually, finally, I got it fixed. But that was a choice that I made. But it saved me on my premium.
yeah, absolutely. And I think we talk about this in a different episode, right? There's no right or no wrong when it comes to your deductible. It's just a tool. If you're looking to save on your insurance, look at the higher deductibles
Yeah.
available.
definitely a big lever in your auto policy.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Also, reviewing what you're insuring. If you have an older vehicle, do you really need to carry comprehensive and collision on it any longer? Um, in your home, does your dwelling limit match what it would actually cost to rebuild your home? Think about that. Talk to your
And
agent, let them help you. And your life circumstances that change from year to year. I think it's a good idea to always, just check in with your agent about every year.
Mhm.
Um, there may be things that have changed that you're not thinking about, but we can ask you questions that will kind of tease some of that out and make sure that your coverage is adequate for your needs.
Yeah, and I like that a lot. What you mentioned, Christy, is, on your home, the numbers that you see, the dwelling number you see on your insurance policy is not the same, right? It's different than the cost of your home that you see
Oh,
on
yeah.
Zillow,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, yeah. So location, 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 right? That's in your retail price, the cost that someone would pay you for your home. That's not in your rebuild cost. Materials are materials. And so that's a conversation that I find myself having a lot of times that
Mhm.
people think they want to cover, the retail value, I call it the retail value, the resale value of their home, and it's just not necessary. You're paying way
Yeah.
too much.
Yeah, and keep in mind, guys, your insurance policy, you only want your insurance company to charge you to the cost to rebuild your actual house, right?
Right? Yeah,
The insurance policy isn't going to do anything to the land. So if you have a lot of land and that create a lot more value in it,
sure.
in your property, that's great. But you certainly do not want to have that higher number, the retail number, the resale number as your insured number, right? So
Yeah,
make sure you check with your agent on that. Don't overpay for things you don't need to, because you're never going to get that amount. Let's be
right.
honest,
That's right.
right,
They're not
Christy?
just going to cut you a
Mhm.
check, at the beginning. They're going to pay what it costs to rebuild or repair the home.
That's right. And then when you're reviewing your policy too, check for duplicate coverage.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. I think about this a lot with like roadside coverage, and you've probably got some level of that available maybe, in your credit card, or certainly if you have something like AAA, then don't pay for it again on your auto policy. I can't think of a good example for homes off the top of my head, but I think about it a lot in auto coverages.
Yeah, and one thing that this is depending on your personal situation, of course, but if you have a very robust, great health insurance plan and you don't really drive customers or strangers in your car, and you might not have to pay for extra medical coverage
Good
on your
point. Yep.
vehicle, right?
Yep.
So
Good
just
point.
things like that, you gotta talk to your agent. You gotta let your agent know what your situation is so they can best guide you on where you need to be so that you're not overpaying for the same coverage you already got.
Yep.
So, the other thing I also really like too is, you know, extra add-ons on policies that you might not need. So
Yeah.
remember, the word I use is need, right? So what are we talking about, Christy?
Right. What's the trigger? When am I ever going to use this? So, um, I think the first thing that comes to my mind is building codes coverage. Coverage that will pay for, additional monies to bring repairs up to code if the home was built, some time ago. But if you've got a brand new house, who cares if you've got building codes coverage? In 10 or 20 years, sure, add some of that coverage, but right now you don't need it. It was just built.
Mhm.
Theoretically, anyway, it's up to code at this point, right?
Yeah,
Um,
I would say depending on the type of code, and you never know. But yes, you're right. If your house was built last night, you don't need to have that building code coverage on your policy.
mhm,
Maybe in a few years, right? And you think about adding it
yeah.
on. When you do a policy review, we recommend that.
Yep,
Um,
yep. Earthquake is another one that comes to my mind. Because and this may be me, but I'm just not a big believer that we in this area are going to have an earthquake that's going to damage my house. I mean, I could be wrong, but I see all these when I'm reviewing policies that people bring to me that they have with other carriers and earthquake is included, and I'm like, how much are you paying for that? Why are you paying for that?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not a big fan of earthquake coverage in this area, but that's just me.
Yeah. Well, the other thing that always that comes to my mind too, Christy, and this is why we want you to talk to an agent and review your policy at least once a year, right? How about, um, we have customers, empty nesters, Christy. They used to have lots of kids and cars in the household, and now all the kids are on their own. It's just,
Mm-hmm.
a husband and wife, but they still have 3 cars or 4 cars and whatnot. And when we look at a policy review, we see rental car
Oh
coverage
yeah,
on all
good
four
one.
vehicles,
Yeah.
right? You might not need that because you might only need one car at a time. So,
Yep.
or vice versa. Like my husband and I carpool a lot because we work at the same place, right? So we don't need car rental because we like 98% of the time we're together. So,
Sure. Yeah.
that's something that we can personally cut out for now that we don't need to pay for because more than likely we won't need to use it.
Exactly.
Yeah. So
It's a very good point.
anytime you talk to an agent, guys, if you're hearing the word you need this extra add-on, like you need this, you know, listen to Christy. Ask these kind of questions, right? First, you have to know how it works, right? And what triggers it? Like what makes you think you need it, right? What's the
Yeah.
maximum payout too? Because think about this. Some of these add-ons, guys, just to make the policy looks good, but the payout is
Small. Yep.
so small that it's not even worth the claim. And even if you use it, you're going to have to pay for the surcharge for a claim that was so small. I don't know if that's cost effective, right? How much does it cost you a year, right?
Yeah. Exactly.
And then the last one that you mentioned, I really like. What is the realistic likelihood? Like, can I stomach this risk? Am I going to ever use it or not?
Yeah. Yeah. I think about this all the time when I see people who are paying for, claim-free, coverage, claim-free bonuses, and they've not had an at-fault accident in 20 years. I
Yeah.
mean, okay, it's going to be nice that though, because as soon as I say you don't need that, they're probably going to go out and have an accident. But or if it was me, I would. But you're paying extra for that for all these years. You're a careful driver. I just, that's another one that I'm like, that might be good for people with young kids,
Children's.
young
Yep.
drivers. You don't know what their driving record is gonna be like in the beginning, but you know, or people who just I know some people who are just bad drivers and they've got 1,000 claims on their policies. Then yes, maybe it's worth it to you to be paying for that claim free bonus or that claim protection, I guess is what I'm trying to
Mhm.
say.
Mhm.
But for others, it's just not a good value.
Yeah, so everyone's going to have their risk tolerance differently. Everyone's
True.
situation is very different, right? So we do encourage you to talk to an insurance professional about that and really, customize the coverage that you have and get rid of the things you don't have. Don't be insurance poor. And we're
Mm-hmm.
saying that as insurance agents. So,
Take
oh,
heed.
yes, absolutely. So let's do a quick recap, Christy. We talk a lot about a lot of good things today, but the first thing that we touched on is, why is insurance going up?
Yep.
So really, guys, keep in mind, insurance is one pot of money, and that money is used to pay for everyone claim. My claim, Christy's claim, your uncle's claim, everybody gets a claim
You and your
paid.
neighbor. Yeah, it's
Yes,
not just
ma'am.
you. So unfortunately, that just is the way that it works. Prices
Absolutely.
go up. Yep.
Absolutely. So when cost of things go up and cost of claims go up, right? Keep in mind your individual claim history as well as the group claim history does affect your premium. So with the cost rising in everywhere in every industry, and if it costs more to pay out for a claim, it will impact your insurance premium.
You bet. You bet. Another thing is then, so to counteract that, what are the savings tips that we can use? We talked about a lot of things today,
Yep.
discounts for everything from, from bundling to paper-free policies. Just make sure that you know what the discounts available are. Make sure that you use the levers that are available to you, like raising your deductible, like you talked about,
Mhm.
knowing what you're insuring and whether it's worth insuring anymore, like whether
Yep.
you need to have the comp and collision on an older car, and shopping strategically.
Yeah, absolutely. Let your agent know, let a professional help you and do all the heavy lifting for you. Cost of insurance is a lot. We all have to have insurance, so we may as well be smart about it, right, Christy?
Yep. And that will help you avoid overpaying for things that you don't need.
Absolutely. And if you found today episode very helpful, please like and consider to subscribe. If you know of a friend or family that might need this information from today episode, please do share. We're happy to have them on here. So until next time, guys. See ya.
So long.